How's it going, everybody? Can you hear me now? Awesome. And I went back into the settings to check out the, to see if I can fix the music. If the music starts crackling again, just let me know. And I'll just turn it off and see if I can troubleshoot it. But I think there was like a setting that I just ticked off, and I think that should fix everything. So, how's everybody doing? Yeah, more caps today. I got a whole bunch. I'm gonna try and do more this time. Just because last time I only did 12, so. Hey, Jeff, how's it going? Good to see everybody. Yeah, so this is the, this was the board I wanted to do last time, but, you know, it just ended up taking a lot longer than I expected to do the power supply. But this is the FTSB board, which I'm not sure if you could see that, but each board has their own designation, and each one obviously has a purpose. This one, not exactly sure what it does. It may be the controller for the actual drive. Hey, Scratchy. Oh yeah, so yeah, 12 in each stream leaves about 20 streams to go. Now, so what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and do one board per stream. So we did the power supply. There's the FTSB. There's the RGB board. Is that music too loud? RGB board. There is the main video board. Now the main video board is 80 capacitors. So that one, I might actually do some of that myself, like, you know, not live on stream, just because I do want to finish this thing sooner rather than later. And it's just taken a long time. And actually, I mean, if everything works, I do want to use it for another project that I'm working on. And it'll be a video that I'm actually really excited to make. And so hopefully, hopefully this works, because this is going to be a big piece of this project that I'm working on. So hopefully maybe about 4 more streams. Not only do I have to cap the laser disc player itself, I also have to do the module. And actually, I didn't bring that over, but I'm going to probably just do the module off camera, because those are all surface mounted capacitors, so they're a little bit more difficult than these. These are by and large through-hole components, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the Sega Pack S10, which is the little module to play Sega Genesis games. I'm going to do that off camera, most likely. Alright, so I'm going to kind of organize my capacitors here. Got a lot of different ones. So this one's going to be quite a bit more difficult than the last, just because there's a bunch of different types, and there's also, I have to keep the size of the capacitor in mind, because some of these are short, but most of them are regular size. But then also we have non-polar capacitors, which I'll also be replacing. So those basically can be installed in any direction because they don't have a set polarity. But got a whole bunch that I'm just setting up off camera here. Oh, this is going to be a pain in the butt, but we'll get through it. Yes, patience is certainly a virtue. I mean, this is something that I wanted to just complete, and I was like, maybe I should just spend a whole weekend just to get it done. But I was like, you know what? A good thing to do would maybe to just stream it. That way, you know, if someone else starts repairing one of these, you know, they can refer to the streams and maybe hopefully have some advice in there that'll be helpful. I'm going to start firing up the desoldering iron and the soldering iron. I emptied and cleaned my desoldering iron right before the stream, so that should be good to remove all of these. And of course, I got my... These are all the capacitors I'll be replacing. So I'm going to try and group these So that way I'm doing a whole bunch at the same time. So I can remove a bunch and then solder in a bunch. And what I'm going to probably start with is these 220 microfarad capacitors, because it appears that there is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 of them. So that's a really good question. I do believe the LaserActive is region free. And I say that because the people have been importing this, and I don't believe there's any mods that you can do to make it region free. And so I just believe right out the gate that they are region free, which is really, really convenient. Yeah, so these are the capacitors right here. So these are the 220 16 volts that I will be replacing. And this is also 220. Okay. All right, so I'm going to be looking for 401. And again, guys, so I'm going to really try and get through this. So I'm going to be periodically looking up at chat. So if I miss your comment, apologies in advance. But let's see here. And let me go ahead and switch the camera so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay. So we can make that a little bit brighter. That's too bright. Change the ISO for you guys. There we go. Okay. All right, so 401. That's going to be a challenge to find this in here. So we got, and then I got this. And the other thing I really don't like about these laser disc players is they have these ribbon cables. They're actually soldered to the board itself, and it just kind of really gets in the way. All right, so there's 406. Actually, what I'm going to do, again, this is something that I did last time, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark all the capacitors that I'll be replacing with a red marker, so that way I know if I replaced it or not. This is just a little tip. All right, so these all look like the 220 microfarads here. Polar. And then what I might actually do next are the non-polar capacitors, because those obviously are special and need to be replaced with the appropriate non-polar capacitor. So how many do we got here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 capacitors. Okay, so that's not too bad. That should be fine. But let's try and replace these 220s. And, oh, okay, here we go. So 406. Yeah, 406. I see 40. Okay. And that's 402. I see 402. Need to replace 401. Okay, so they're all kind of over here. Is it 502? No, I need, it's 800. Better than the 800s here. 859. 859. So let's go ahead and start removing these. So I see 401 and 402 here. And that's the nice thing, is that they actually label them on the bottom of the board as well. So, hey, Paranoid Android, how's it going? Glad you liked the Benven video. Yeah, if you guys, I actually uploaded today a new video. It's on Benven's Game Gear LCD mod. It actually uses an IPS kit. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. Maybe after the stream. Oh, so it looks like they don't actually label the capacitors. They label it with the symbol, so I can easily see it. go ahead and turn on the fume extractor, safety first. Doing that off camera. Let me go ahead and get that on camera. Flush cutters are also a helpful tool to have. Alright, so that's the first capacitor out. And that is C402, and it is indeed a 220/16 microfarad. Perfect. And this actually looks pretty good. It doesn't look like it had leaked, so, but we're replacing it anyway. 401. Okay, 401 is this guy right here. So we took out 401. And we're about to take out 402. Let me get my trash can out. Oh, and it just fell out. Okay, so we got 402 out. Great. See if we can find 405. See all these wires getting everywhere. Yeah, I'm definitely planning to do some more GBA stuff and some Game Boy Color stuff, Game Boy Pocket. There's a lot of cool things coming out. So the Hacko 808 is actually the predecessor. This is the Hacko FR301, which replaced it. So, but yeah, it's very similar to the 808. Okay. And then also remind me, guys, I gotta clean the area that we took the capacitor out of. So we'll be sure to do that. Try and keep an organized station here to the best of my ability. Alright, let's see if we can find 405. I mean, half the challenge is finding these capacitors. There's 406, 407. I think I gotta remove those too, so let's... Actually, not 407. Well, that's interesting. Oh. C406. And that is actually C405. Okay, perfect. I see them. They're both right here. Legs, if need be. Actually, it might just fall out. No. This leg. Yeah, so there's some cool mods coming out for the Game Boy Color. I don't want to talk about them too much because it'll give away the video. But how many of y'all enjoyed the Game Gear videos? Oh, your mic? My mic is bugging. Volume is a little low. Okay, I'm gonna turn up the volume on the mic. Let me go ahead. Actually, I gotta turn the gain up. Is that a little bit better for the mic? Is that good volume? Better, okay. Yeah, let me know, guys, if the... Okay, good, good. Excellent. All right, and then this is the other one we removed. Awesome. Yes, yeah, the fully laminated screen for the Game Boy Color. That'll be a very, very interesting one. I'm actually really looking forward to that. Not sure when they're coming out, but that is going to be a really, really nice one. All right, so we move 405, 406. Now let's get 857. That's 855. Is that one? No, nope. 897. Nope. 859, that was one, right? Yep, 859. Is this 857 and 857? Okay, so these over here. Okay, I lost him. That is so weird. It says 857 on top, but then it says 858 on the bottom. That is very confusing. Uh-oh. So I'm just gonna go on a leap of faith and say that that's 859, and it says 860 on the bottom. That's very confusing. I'll just have to go with it. And it's also interesting because there's a little resistor. I'll show you guys a close-up in a second. I'm being very careful not to knock this resistor off. They put a resistor between the legs of the capacitor. You might not be able to see that. You can see right there. There's a resistor there and a resistor there, and the two legs go right there in between. So, very interesting that they put a resistor there. And then also it says C60 instead of C59. And then this says C58 instead of C57. On the other side it says that ratings. It's really interesting that they did that. I wonder if it's just something that they updated later. Alright, so we got 857. I just removed that. Where was that? Okay, now I just totally lost where I took those out of. Oh wait, okay, that's interesting. Guys, it's going to be tough to try and actually find. I might have to do a one-by-one approach because this is getting pretty... 830, that's not one that I did. Oh, that's an easy way to find it. got them from right here. Oh, duh! I didn't remove them yet. I was trying to look for like an empty. Silly me. All right, so I'm gonna have to cut these legs. All right, so that's a 220 10 volt. Great. And there should also be a 220 10 volt. All right. Great, so that was 857 and 859. I'm gonna go ahead and put a note here at the bottom, and I'm gonna send this to console 5. Okay. All right, just two more, 941 and 942. Oh wow, these are big ones. So these are 220, 16 volts, okay. Let's see if these are marked correctly. Well, they don't have a number on them, but all right. So these thankfully come out very easily. Which hopefully indicates that the video board, which is 80 capacitors, will also be easy. Fingers crossed. All right. Okay. Great. So that should be, what's a capacitor? That should be everything. So these are all 220, 10 or 16 volt. Now let's go ahead and let's clean the site where I just took them out. All right. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna clean the area nice and thoroughly. All right. So I've got these. So it's very interesting that there's a resistor or a little surface mounted component in between the legs of 859 and 857. But that's okay. All right. So we got those. So 2, 4, 6. So we got the ones over here. And now the struggle is going to be finding these things again. Yeah, I'm gonna do a one-by-one approach, just because it's really hard to locate these capacitors. Let's go ahead and also clean this side of the board. Two, 4, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Okay, let's clean this side. 2, 4, 6, and there's got to be another. Oh, that's a nice, easy way to find them. 2, 4, 6, 8. Great. All right, let's install these. Oh, sorry. Let's check out the chat here. Hey, everybody. All the people who just joined in, how's it going? Thanks for dropping by. We're just still replacing capacitors. We only did 12 last time out of the 200. And today I'm attempting to do, I think it was another 32. And another thing I'm going to do is probably off camera, you know, maybe not during streams, is also try to replace the capacitors just to get it done quicker. Because I don't want to do like 20 streams of me just recapping, because that might be pretty boring for y'all. And actually I've been thinking of, I actually have some other consoles that I just want to repair. And I might just do streams of that. You know, that's kind of like fun stuff. It kind of hit two birds with one stone. I get to stream with you guys, and then I also get to repair stuff that I just need to get repaired. This just happens to be one of the bigger repairs I need to do. And it wouldn't make sense to make a video of this, just because, you know, it would have just been a huge, huge project and taken so much time to complete. So, just doing it little by little with you guys. So I hear a lot of folks are excited about the pre-laminated Game Boy Color IPS screens. It uses, I believe it still uses the Q5 LCD. So it's going to be that big one, the big LCD, the biggest one that they make for basically the Game Boy Color. And I think, I'm not sure if they're still going to be, because this will be a funny playing kit from what I understand. And I'm not sure if they're going to have an OSD or not. So the OSD being the on-screen display, like the previous version, which I guess it was done by the One Chip. I believe that's what they're called, the One Chip folks. At least that's what MACHO calls them. And I think that might be their de facto name. Alright, so we got all the capacitors taken out. Now let's go ahead and reinstall them. And again, these are not the non-polar ones, so we're going to have to go ahead and make sure we're putting them in the correct polarity. So let's do, hey, the SP, thanks for subscribing. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do 401 first. Julio Calderon, thank you for the subscribe, buddy. 401, where are you? There you are. Okay, so the negative goes on this side. And we're going to put both of them. We're going to put 401 and 402 in there. And the negative goes on this side. Fantastic. We're going to go ahead and we're going to solder these in place. Got our iron. Hold on a second. Drop some IPA here. Clean that up. Let's get our solder. And let's go ahead and solder these. So they're right here, by the way, if you can't see them. Might be a little bit hard because I think I'm as zoomed in as I can get. Yeah, that's as zoomed in as I can get for y'all. So we're going to go ahead, solder one leg. And it's one. the other. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that's nice and straight. Fantastic. Make sure this one is nice and straight as well. Great. Okay. So solder in the other legs. Again, remember we got to keep track of the polarity on these. So the polarity is good, negative to negative, positive to positive. All right, let's trim these legs. Oops. And one more. All right. 2 capacitors in. I think we're moving a little bit faster than we were last week. All right, so we just did 401 and 402. Let's check those off. Now let's see if we can find 405 and 406. And I'm just shining it to the light here because I can see the holes of the caps that I want to replace. Okay, right there, 405 and 406. Okay, again, we got the negative on this side. And then we got the negative going towards up. Great. Yep, so the positive is there. And then the positive is on that one. Great. Okay, so everything is lining up perfectly. Let's go ahead and solder these in place. Now again, guys, I'm just soldering one leg first. Make sure the cap is nice and straight and positioned correctly, and then I go ahead and solder the other leg. Okay. Great. That looks fantastic. Just so you can see what I'm doing here. Oops. So those are the legs right there. I got to cut those legs. I just replaced these 2 capacitors right there. And then I marked all the ones that are marked with like a little red marking. Those are the ones I got to remove. So that way I can differentiate between the ones that I replaced and the ones that I have yet to replace. Okay. All right, so 405, 406, done. Let's do 857, which are they're down here. Okay, so these are right here. 857. And these are all the same, so that's why I kind of desoldered them all at the same time. And then I'm resoldering them at the same time as well, because they're all using the same exact capacitors. Okay, and 859. Okay, solder those in. Now these are the ones with the little resistors, so you got to be really careful because you don't want to accidentally knock off these resistors. That's going to be one heck of a time soldering that back on. Okay, so let's make sure that those are nice and straight, and they are. And I don't want to mess with these too much, so I'm just going to go ahead and solder the other side on. same. Let me get this angled correctly. Do the same here. Great. Yeah, I wonder if maybe it was like a last minute tweak that they did to maybe improve the video quality, or I don't know, because there's like a little resistor there. It very much seems like an afterthought. Didn't cut that one short enough. Okay. All right. So that was 857. I'm going to check that off my list, and 859. All right, two more, 941 and 942, which are both up here. Got the negative facing this side to the left, and negative is also, so let me see, 941 and 42. And also, this is also negative is facing the left here. Slide those in. It's really nice that these are surface-mounted capacitors. It just makes things, I mean, not surface-mounted, through-hole components. Just makes everything so much easier. I mean, we're already kind of, I mean, this was 8. We got 32, I believe, so we kind of did some really quick here. Maybe we'll do another board today. Who knows? Who knows? All right, so solder one leg. I think the other thing that was kind of slowing us down last time too was I was actually applying flux every time, and I don't think that was necessary. I was doing it just to, you know, make sure, and that was the power supply, and those are much larger caps, and you know they get a little bit hotter, and so maybe for that one it's okay to use flux. Make sure you get a good solid joint, but there's enough. These are rosin core. So there's enough, you know, flux in the solder itself to make a very nice connection. Actually, let me show you what these connections actually look like. Let me just trim the legs and I'll show you. And they come out looking fantastic. And I'm using, this is my favorite solder. It's like Henkel. I think the brand is Henkel. So really high quality stuff. This is leaded, of course. So one thing you kind of don't want to do is mix leaded with unleaded solder. A lot of modern components, to be the RoHS compliant, they have to be non-lead based. But yeah, so look at those joints. Really nice joints. Again, it might be hard for you guys to see, but really good solder joints. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to just clean off a little bit those solder joints. Look fantastic. That's 4. 8. Sorry, 4, 6. And where is the other one? Right here. Great. Okay. Moving on. I'm going to do all the non-polar capacitors next, of which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, also 8. And those also, and so those are marked on the capacitor with the lettering BP, which I'm guessing maybe means bipolar. So you can see that, I'm not sure if you can see that, but it says BP on there. And that essentially means that these are not, you can install them in any direction as far as I know. Even though it's interesting, you can see here one leg is shorter than the other, and typically the shorter leg is the negative side of a normal electrolytic capacitor, and that's how they denote it. So it's interesting that I think it would have been nicer if they made them the same size. It would have been less confusing, and that way you know, well, it can be installed in any direction. But I mean, I'm hoping that's the case. I'm going to actually double check. So I'm going to let me get all the, I'm going to move all these capacitors to the side actually, because they're getting knocked everywhere. With my solder touching them, my soldering iron wire is touching them. So let me just get those out of the way. but I'm going to pick out all the bipolar or non-polar capacitors. So this is a regular capacitor. All right, so this is a bipolar. Also a bipolar. I think that's what BP stands for. If someone knows what BP stands for, please let me know. Hey, Milos, Ace Bunny, how's it going? Again, everybody who, if I didn't say hello to you, I apologize. Hello, welcome to the stream. And we're just to update you all, we're still replacing capacitors on the LaserActive. All right, so another bipolar. And is this bipolar? Yes. Okay, so we got four. We need four more. That is not. I believe I checked this one is also not bipolar. Aha. Here's another one. We have 8 of them. 8 of them in total. And right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, I bought this capacitor kit from Console 5. And it's just amazing that they have a kit for the LaserActive. Again, this is over 200 capacitors. That's very interesting. Am I missing a capacitor? Is this it? Please be it. Huh. I might be missing one, guys. ML. All right, well, that's neither here nor there. I'll double check a little bit later, but let's go one by one. So the first non-polar capacitor is a 0.47 microfarad, which actually I think was one of these. So that's a 1 microfarad. This also 1. That's 47. Also 47. Huh. Maybe I dropped one. Well, I'm gonna have to keep a note of that, so I don't have a 0.47. But let's do a 1016. All right. So we got a 10, which gets replaced with a. Oh, that's right. Also, okay, the replacement values are different. I forgot about that. The voltages usually change. So I'll be using a 10 microfarad 25. Yeah, that's a 50. 50. Okay. 10 microfarad 25. Okay, so we're going to replace that one. That is 842. We're going to see how the 842 is installed. 866. $808, $897, 551, 864, 870, 850. What did I say it was? 842. That's 45. I'm getting close. Come on, 42. Where are you? It's 820. Whew. half the battle is finding these capacitors, so I'm looking for 842. I mean, not that you guys can help me, but, you know, 50, 840, or that's 915, that's 845, 864, 866, 50, 51, is it up here? 877, 876, 837, 842. Oh, it's right here. Oh, that's interesting. 842 is supposed to be a shorter capacitor, but it doesn't really matter. We're just going to go ahead and I'm going to install it regardless. Okay, so let's take a look. Actually, I'm going to put a note here. That's actually short. Oh, it is short. Yeah, it should be short. That's interesting. I did a visual size check on 842, and I don't have a short capacitor for it. Well, that's neither here nor there. I'm just going to go ahead and replace it. Oh, hold on. 842 is a 10 microfarad. .25 volt. Okay. All right. Anyway, there it is. Now these have a different symbol actually. That's good to know. Okay, came right out. So that is a 10 microfarad, 16, and I'm replacing that with a 25 volt. Let's clean the site. Okay. And again, that's a bipolar. Oh, hey, not great at gaming. Is this really the first super chat? Oh, I think it might be actually, but that's okay. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. All right, let's see here. All right, so I'm just going to double check everything because when I put this back, when I put it all together, I do not want to take this apart to make sure and to see if I mess something up. So it's a 10 microfarad, 25 volt. Non-polar, it says non-polar. This is non-polar. Okay. It's going in. It's going in. It's gonna be soldered in. Hey, Claire Bernick, thanks for subscribing. And again, not great at gaming. Thank you so much for the super chat. All right, okay, here we are. So I'm going to solder this bad boy in. Okay, that is in. Let's get it nice and flush. Fantastic. Now, the only reason why I think they designated between short capacitors and regular size capacitors, I think it's mostly for fitment issues. So as you can see, this is the capacitor right here that I replaced. It's kind of tall, right? It's taller than the other one, just a little bit. But then you see this this wire here. This is a cable management tie. And notice there's obviously cables going here. So having a shorter capacitor there will probably be more out of the way. But I can just like bend it out of the way if it does end up getting... I'm going to keep it straight for now just because I think it looks nicer when it's straight up as opposed to like bent over. But I can bend it over if need be to get it out of the way. All right, so we replaced 842. Whew, that was a hard one to find, actually. All right, so 863 is the other one we got to replace. Ah, and it's right over here, also nonpolar. Perfect. And again, it's short. See? I'm gonna write that. I'm gonna write the note. So this was short, but I did not have a short one, and actually it's already designated as short. So, that is so interesting. All right, so 863 is the one I'm working on. Let's desolder it. I didn't cut the legs on the other one. I will do that as soon as I solder this one. Okay. Yeah, actually I do really want to show you guys the Sega packed S10 module that goes into this. It is so damaged. I removed all the capacitors, actually. I removed them all. However, all of them leaked. They all leaked heavily. They all leaked heavily. And actually they ate away at some of the silk screening. Not the silk screening, what do you call it? Basically the PCB, it ate away at it, so a lot of the traces are now exposed. So I ended up ordering off of Amazon like a PCB mask. It's the solder mask is what got eaten away. So I bought some solder mask replacement, and I'm going to repair it. And I'm thinking maybe I should do that on a stream, because that'd be pretty interesting to show. Alright, so this is again a 10 microfarad 16 volt replacing with a 10 microfarad 25 volt. That's a 47. Is this it? Hold on a second here, guys. What? Why are none of these capacitors FTSB? Did I mix some of these up? Oh, here's the 0.47. I did have the 0.47. Now I'm missing that's a 1 microfarad, 1 microfarad, 47, and 2.2. There's the 47, 2.2, there's the 1. Huh. So I was actually looking for the wrong one. What I'm looking for is another... Oh, wow. Okay, well, I might have to go and... I'm going to get my highlighter. So I'm going to write a note here. This one is missing. I must have not sorted that like I thought, unless it fell on the floor. Let's see if I can see it. I don't see anything on the floor, unfortunately. Huh. Well, that's weird. Okay, well, I'm going to skip that one. It's missing for now. I'm going to put a note there, missing. And I'm going to go back to 866, which I do have the 0.47 microfarad. It's right here. 50, yeah. So that was 866. Right here. Oh yeah, and that one is tall, so okay. 866. Ah, and that one also has this one also has one of those resistors in there. How strange. They did that a lot. Okay, so that one came out. That is 0.4750, and I am replacing it with a 0.4750. Okay. Let's clean it up. Just giving it a quick clean. Sorry if I keep on doing this off camera. Just again, non-polar, so it doesn't matter the direction 866. Doesn't matter the direction I put it in. Solder that in place. One side and the other side. Great. All right, so that was 866. Check that off the list. Let's cut these legs. Yeah, if anybody knows the reason why they would put a resistor in between the legs of the capacitor, I think it's a resistor. I'm not exactly sure what the value is, but it's definitely a surface mounted component. Let me know what y'all think. I think that's kind of interesting. Yeah, I would definitely be, I mean, I was kind of scared initially, but I got a pretty good deal on this Laserdisc player, and it wasn't working already, so I figured, if it doesn't work when I attempt to fix it, then I mean, it is kind of a lot of money. I got a pretty good deal, like I said, on it. It was, well, but it wasn't working, but it was a Laserdisc player, but it was also the module, so it came as a package, and the module was actually also in pretty bad shape. And if you guys were there for my video where I started to disassemble this thing, y'all know that this thing was just filled with bugs. Pretty nasty. But, alright, so the next non-polar capacitor is C915. Right here, C915, and it is non-polar. Perfect. Actually, these group right here, so actually I might remove all three of these. So it looks like 870, 915, and 845. So we got 9, 15, 845, good, and 870. Where's 870? And 870. Fantastic. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just going to remove the entire lot of them here. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Make this a little more efficient. Bend these legs a little bit so that they can come out easily. But all right, I think, yep. All right, so let's make sure. I'm going to take them out in order here. So 845. 845 is a 1 microfarad. Yep, 845 is a 1 microfarad. Great. 915 is a... Hey, Sven M79. Thanks for subscribing. 915. Thought I saw that on here. Oh yeah, 915 is a 10 microfarad, and this is indeed 1016. Great. So what I'm doing, guys, I'm just verifying these capacitors are the same as what was listed on the Console 5 website. Because the last thing you want to do is replace a capacitor that you think has a value, but it actually has something different in reality. 870 was 47, and this is 47. Great. Okay, so, I mean, I've never had any issues with the Console 5. They've always been extremely accurate. I think they use, like, the, what do you call it? The data sheets or the service manuals, basically, to get all the values. And I think also folks, they also report back if there's any discrepancies, and I think they update their wiki or their database. So definitely a good service. I actually sent them my spreadsheet where I kind of verified some of these values, just so they can, you know, have another data point. All right, so let's do 845. So 845 is a 1 microfarad 50, which is this one right here, and that says BP. 845. Let's put that thing in. Okay. I'm actually going to put them all in. So 915 is a 1016. 2.2. It's a 47. These are all kind of messed up. I might have kind of messed up my organization here. So 915. I'm missing. Go back and check that. And the last one was 870. I'm going to actually circle these. Circle. 870, which was, hey, extra Tim Restrial. Thanks for subscribing. 870 is a 47 10 volt, and I think I did have that. I did see that. That was this one. 4716. That's what I replaced it, right? 4716. And that was 870. Again, non-polar, so I'm just going to install it in any direction. That works. Okie dokes. So those are soldered into place. They look good. All right, and I'm actually noticing that these have interesting shaped through-hole pads on the bottom of the PCB. They're kind of shaped, instead of a circle, they're kind of oblonged, and like it's almost as if you're intended to bend the legs in the direction of how that semicircle is. So that's actually pretty interesting. All right, so we did 870 and 845. So 845 and 870. So we got that one, we got that one. 4. So we're only able to replace 4. I feel like I might have dropped one of these capacitors because I find it strange that I'm missing 2 of them. All right, so let's see here. 814, and then the other one is 850, which I saw down here. So let's do 850. Which is this one right here. So this guy should come out pretty simply. Okay. And this one is a 2.2. So 850 is a 2.2 microfarad, 50 volt. That is indeed what this is. And I have right here the 2.2, 50. Let's go ahead. Oh yeah, so this capacitor looked like it might have leaked a little bit, so that's good that we're replacing it. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. That's interesting. This non-polar capacitor has like a white bottom as opposed to just an outline like most of the other ones. I wonder if that is significant in any way. Well, we're soldering it in anyway. In, solder the other leg. All right. My spool of solder got a little tangled here. I'm having trouble pulling it through. Let me untangle it a little bit. So is anybody in the chat gonna get the Panic Playdate? Or does anybody care about the Panic Playdate? I think it looks pretty cool. And if I am able to get one, I will definitely do a video on it. It's kind of a bummer that it's been pushed back so much. Okay, so that was capacitor, a non-polar capacitor, 850. So we got 850, great. Okay, one more and it's a 1 microfarad. So 814. Where is 814? Yeah, the trickiest part, or one of the tricky, oh, here we go, 814, right here. And one of the tricky parts is finding these capacitors in this large sea of capacitors. Okay, that should just come right out. And that is indeed a 1 microfarad 50 volt, which is what I have right here to replace it with. Let's go ahead and clean it. Again, it can go in any direction. That was 814, correct? 814, correct. All right, well, that pretty much takes care of the non-polar capacitors that I do have. It's weird that I'm missing 2 of them. I'm going to look carefully on the floor, probably after the stream, make sure I'm not, you know, I didn't lose one. Okay, looks good. Trim the legs. Okay, fantastic. 814, check it off the list. All right, guys, we're making pretty good progress here. So all the ones with the check mark are the ones that I replaced. The circled ones are the ones that I think are missing. And then I put some notes in there. Let me get some water here. Let me see what the chat is saying. Yeah, so the resistors that are curiously between the capacitor legs are potentially a hot fix. That's what Cameron is saying. That makes sense. So it's kind of like a last minute, I'm assuming like a bodge wire. They found a mistake last minute and they're just repairing it, so makes sense. That makes sense. All right. All right, let's see here. Now let's just kind of go down the line, I guess. Or maybe I'll just kind of go and replace them here. So C837. Sorry, no, C840 actually. Right here is a 1 microfarad 50 volt. So I'm looking at my capacitors over here. All right, so this is a 1 microfarad 50 volts. So actually we got 2 that are that. All right, so let's go ahead and remove 840. That's the one we're working on, is 840, right up there. All right. .840 also has a resistor. It's fairly widespread. Okay, let's take it out. And actually, you know, replacing these capacitors, you know, you just got to take your time, and it actually can be kind of like a fun thing to do. You maybe just have the TV on in the background, you know. All right. It's kind of somewhat therapeutic. All right, let's make sure. So this is a 1 microfarad, 50 volt. Perfect. And I'm going to replace it with such. Again, make sure none of these are dual polarity, which they don't appear to be. Yeah, really, this kind of reel, the way these capacitors come in, very difficult to remove. It's kind of annoying. There we go. This one. And I'll also remove this one too. Keep it over here. All right, let's install this again. Now for this one, we got to pay attention. Well, let me clean it, clean the site, but we got to pay attention to the polarity, because this is just a standard capacitor. I'm just cleaning that. Again, apologies for not having that on camera. Give it a nice clean. All right, so negative is on the left. So we're gonna go ahead and make sure we put that correct on the left. There we go. So it seems that I fixed the music issue. I didn't see anybody saying, because I remember last stream there was a an issue with the, it was kind of too, it was like crackling, I think. So at least it looks like I fixed it, so that's good. Okay. As we are really knocking these capacitors out, which is awesome. All right, so we just did 840. Check that off the list. And Igor Lopez, thank you for subscribing. Welcome, welcome. I'm gonna go ahead and replace. This looks like it is C835, and C835 is down here, and 836 is right next to it. So I'm going to take them both out because they both are 22 microfarad, 50 volt. So I'm going to take them both out with my desoldering gun. I'm just going to knock them out. There's 1 and 2. Okay. Boom. Boom. Now, I'm not sure if you guys know, I'm like really excited to, once this is done, I put it together and I hit that power button. Man, if it works, that'll just be so awesome. And I think I asked this question last time, but does anybody know, because I only have one Laserdisc movie, and it's Blade Runner. And I thought it'd be really cool that, you know, the episode that I assemble this back together, or actually let me double check this capacitor here. So this is 836, should be 2250. 836 is indeed 2250. Okay. All right, let me take this one out. But does anybody know if I can play a movie and stream it, but stream it without sound, obviously, because with the sound, I think that would make it a no-go. And I'm actually pretty hesitant. I imagine also playing it even without sound is maybe a non-starter as well. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, that's not good. Oh, this was, oh, that is not good at all. So, looks like this was a weaker pad, and it, not that it lifted, but it looks like part of it lifted. That's not good. I mean, hopefully I can still solder to it. I'm sure I can, but wow. Okay, so got to be careful. Got to be careful, y'all. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to really be gentle there with that. All right, so that is a word of caution. Definitely be careful when desoldering. All right, so those were both 2250, and those are getting replaced with also 2250. It's 47. Those are short. Oh, and also I got to keep track of what's short. Actually, maybe I should have done that next. Are these 2250? Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, there's a bunch of 2250s. Okay, yeah, so Shank Mods is saying, yeah, probably. Well, at least show a little bit, just to show that it does indeed work. I mean, fingers crossed, right? Knock on wood, it does work. Alright, so this is a 2250. This is 2250 for both 836 and 835. 836, 835. So negative for 836 is on the right. Okay. And then negative for the other one is on the left. Okay, yep. Negative is on the left and on the right. Alright, so I really hope this solder is in okay. So this one's going to be fine. Get that nice and straight. This, yeah, that's fine. Great. Fantastic. I was a little worried there, but there was plenty of meat to grab onto, or plenty of pad to get on, grab onto. Okay. Check those off. Okay. Great. So those are done. All right, let's do, the next ones I see here are 8. Let's see here. All right, so this looks like 876 and 877. Oh, those are also 2250. Okay, well, let me just remove those then. That's 1, and then that's 2. So I'm cleaning the tip of my desoldering gun. Yep. So let's see if those come out. All right. That's 1. And a 2. All right, so these are both indeed. That is 2250, and this one is 2250. And by and large, all these capacitors look pretty good. I'm kind of happy about that. I mean, it's good that we're replacing them because, I mean, they're pretty old, but man, and they are all Nishikan, it looks like so far. So they're high quality. So I'm not surprised that they've lasted this long. And I guess this particular board doesn't get very hot. So yeah, those capacitors are in excellent condition, surprisingly. Hold on to that. And those were both 2250, right? Isn't that what we said? 877 and 876. 877, 876, 2250, replacing them with the 2250. Okay. So does anybody know if the LaserActive has an RGB mod that you can do to it? Because I would love to do that if it's possible. It's really interesting because the board, there's an RGB board, but the board doesn't have RGB. Like, it doesn't output RGB. It only outputs composite. That's the only output. So I just found it interesting that they called the board an RGB board. Well, it's called like the RGBB, which I'm assuming is RGB, and the second B is for board, potentially. But I think that'd be a pretty cool mod. You know, get slightly better. I mean, actually, I don't know. RGB for movies, is it the same as RGB for games? Do you get an improvement in quality? All right, so the negative. Okay, so this is, let me make sure these are both 2250. These are both indeed 2250 Nichikan. So negative on that side. And negative going towards up, which it is indeed doing. Okay, solder these bad boys in place. Yeah, I have no idea It makes no sense to me. It's it's called. I'll show it to you, because each of these boards basically have like a name, and it's pretty much silk screened on the top of them all. And hey, Dion, thanks for subscribing. Let me make sure this is nice and level. Okay, as well as this one. Okay. And solder the other legs. Hey, will you guys be just as upset as me if this doesn't work? I know I'd be very, very bummed if this didn't work after doing all this work to it. And I've done a lot of work off camera. Like, I have totally cleaned the casing. I totally disassembled the drive assembly, which has all the gears to open and close the LaserDisc drive, the CD drive. It was an incredibly complex mechanism. Totally took it apart. Of course, I took a million pictures so that I don't forget what where things go. But oh my gosh, if this doesn't work, I think I might cry actually. It's just a lot of work went into it, but all right, guys, we're making progress here. We are really making progress. All right, let's do these two that are next to each other. So 850 and 851. So 850 and 851 appear to be... Wait a second. Sorry, 550 and 551. All right, so that's these two right here. And those are both 47 16 volt, and we are replacing them with 47 microfarad 35 volt. So 47 35. Are they short? They're not short. It's probably these two. Yeah, 47 35 right here. Great. Hey, Fraz, thanks for subscribing. Okay, so what I'm noticing is that a lot of these capacitors are grouped together. They're kind of two capacitors, very close proximity to each other. Not sure if that means anything, if that's significant at all, but I just found that kind of interesting. And they're both the same value. So I have, what am I doing? 50 and 50, or 550 and 551, and both are 47 microfarad, or rated at 47 microfarad. Okay, so let's first desolder the two. Where are they? They're right there. You know, that's so interesting, and this one is mislabeled as well. The capacitors are mislabeled on the bottom for some of them. I wonder if maybe they like updated it and just decided to just fix one side of the board and not the other. Some sort of cost-saving measure, potentially. Doesn't really make too much sense, but who knows? Who really knows? So guys, when trimming these legs to remove them, because they're bent, I will, I dropped the capacitors. I will say, try not to scratch, or not scratch, but try not to put too much pressure, because you might lift the pad, or the through-hole pad that these go through. Okay, so these are both 4716. Indeed, 4716. Okay, great. And I'm going to keep these capacitors because they all look good, and for some reason, if something doesn't work, then I can always just put the old one back in, in the off chance that it doesn't work. So I'm keeping them all. Actually, I threw away a lot of the power supply ones because those were they were bad. They look bad. These actually all look pretty dang good, so it's good to keep as just spares, I think. All right, clean those up nice. Let's put them in. So we got, they're both facing the same way. Negative is facing up. And negative is facing up. Now, I know I asked a question not too long about the panic playdate, and I didn't even look at the response. I'm going to look up here in a moment after I solder these in, see what you guys had to say about that. Or maybe nobody answered. Maybe nobody answered, so maybe I'm okay. All right. Good. And good. All right, trim the legs. Like, guys, I can't wait. Honestly, I really look forward to Thursdays. You know, one, because, you know, I upload the video, but two, I get to work on this. And I just get closer and closer to actually putting this thing back together, which I cannot wait to do. And really, I just hope it works. All right, so that's 850 and 851. Great. Wow, I think we're over halfway done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21, guys, only 11 more to do. That's it, just 11 more. Well, actually, maybe like 10 because, remember, I'm missing 2. So actually 9, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, it says 11 there, but... All right, so let's remove this lone one up here. This looks like C515, which is a 20. It's another 2250. Okay, so that's the last one. Oh, okay, good, nice. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. So that's this one here. Bloody convenient. We actually did all the 2250 capacitors basically in a row. Very convenient. Guys, I have to say the cables that are attached to this are extremely annoying to deal with. They really get in the way, and they don't detach, unfortunately. All right, so this is indeed a 2050. Let's grab the last 2050, which I put over here. All right, this is 2250. And I am doing C515, which is a 2250. Yeah, if I got a, oh my gosh. And actually, now here's a question. I'm not sure if anybody knows this. So what I've heard, if you have a bad module for the LaserActive, so a bad either pack S10 or pack P, I think is a P10 for the PC Engine, it can actually trip one of the fuses in the console and in the LaserActive, and actually make it so it doesn't work. I think it trips it on the power supply. There's a okay, I did 516, right? Is that what we're doing? No, 515. All right, let me not get distracted here, guys. I removed right there, 515. Okay. And 515 is a 22 microfarad. This is a 2250. Negative is on the right side. Okay. Great. Compact portable luggable. Is that just like a large, like an old school laptop? They have a lot of capacitor kits for some old school computers. I mean, they have a lot of stuff, which is absolutely... Actually, you know, I'm sure if you send him a list of those, I'm sure he might make a kit for it, potentially. I mean, that's pretty much his business model, is making cap kits. I mean, really, the more kits he has available, the more... Now, of course, it does take effort to make those kits, but I wonder if he has some sort of system to basically generate those kits for him. I would imagine that'd be the case because, man, to pick each capacitor would be crazy. Yeah, actually, you know, if I got a, I mean, if this does work, I would definitely watch. I might be very incentivized to purchase laser discs for maybe like some of my favorite movies. Like I was looking at laser discs for The Fifth Element. My God, they are expensive. They are quite expensive. So it wouldn't be like maybe a movie. I'll get maybe one movie a year or one movie every semi-annually or something. Actually, let's do the short capacitors. So let's do 823. Or sorry, 855 is also short. Yeah. 855 is a 10 microfarad 50 volt, which I'm replacing with a 1050. That's a 47. And here we go, 1050. There it is. So that was 855, which is right there. So it's interesting. These capacitors are quite different looking. So this is 10 microfarad 50, but this one is a little bit smaller. And it's also a 1050 volt. It's interesting because it doesn't say microfarad on it. Or it doesn't have like the symbol. It's a little concerning, but we'll make do. Okay, solder it in. Cut the legs. All right. Great. So that was, what was it, 5:15? Was that what I just did? $8:55. That's what it was. All right. So that was a short. That was short. 808 is also short. And 808 is right there, and it's also next to 8. Is that 96? 808 and 896 are both short, so I'm going to remove, well, let me do 896 first, since that's like a larger one. And of course, it has one of those resistors again, which I feel like it would be very simple to remove on accident. Makes me very nervous. Alright, alright, which one did I just take out? That was 896, which is a 4716 short, which is I think this one, because I'm replacing it with also a 4716. They look identical. Yep, 4716, perfect. All right, we're really trucking along here. Oh, so can you play a Dragon's Lair disc on LaserActive? No. Or you can play it, but not as a game. You can play each video say, oh, that's interesting. Is that a Laserdisc game? Dragon's Lair? That's a classic. I remember playing that in the arcade back in the day. All right, let's see here. So hey, Disto No Name, thanks for subscribing. All right, so that is negative on the right. Okay, solder this in. Again, being very careful about this resistor. Actually, that looks pretty good. And solder the other side. Yeah, as soon as we're done here, guys, I'll definitely chat with y'all. Just the only thing with this is it really takes some level of concentrating, because there's a lot to keep track of, making sure you're putting it in the right place. You're not mixing the polarity up. You're crossing things off as you do it, so you don't make sure you don't repeat. All right, so that's replaced. Oh yeah, we were going to do the one next to it, so 808. 808, which should be a 1 microfarad 50 volt short. I think we had two of those actually. So yeah, 1 50 volt. It's 808. So 808 is a 150 volt. We're replacing it with a 150 volt. This is a tiny, tiny, tiny capacitor. Very small. So this is what a short, that's short, and then this is a regular one. So basically the service manual tells you which ones are short, and I think it's mostly for wire management. So basically shorter ones are less likely to be in the way. and you put them by wires. Hey, Taylor Helton. Thank you so much for the $9.99. Wow, dude. Thank you. Tyler writes, have you ever had a mod that you could not get to work? Ever had a project that you don't feel skilled enough to attempt? That's a good question. I had a couple close calls. You know, fortunately, I've been very, you know, knock on wood, I've been very lucky and have been able to basically complete every single mod that I've set out to do. Now, there were a couple close calls. One of them was the Dreamcast, and it was the weirdest thing. So I did the Dreamcast on the first try, I got it, and it worked great. And then for the follow-up video, when I was installing, I mean, kind of the easy mods, you know, they're just sort of plug and play. The GDMU, the fan, the, what else did I put in there? The power supply. Those are all very simple mods. However, after I put them all in, it still worked. I played some games. I let it run for like maybe 30 minutes, and then it just turned off. And in retrospect, I think I knew what happened. I think what happened was the GDMU somehow dislodged itself from the connector. But I didn't, at the moment, I thought immediately that it wasn't the GDMU. It was actually the, I thought it was probably the DC digital mod. So and again, I see this is a really big lesson learned. First thing you do is try all the simple stuff. I went straight to the most complicated thing. I desoldered the DC digital ribbon cable, and I tried to resolder the old one, but when you desolder a ribbon cable like that, you do cause some damage, and I couldn't get it to work. So I ordered another ribbon cable. I attached it, and it wasn't working again. So I was like, maybe something shorted on the DC digital board. So I actually reached out to Dan at Black Dog Technology, and I said, hey, my DC digital isn't working. It was working perfect, and then it just stopped. And he said, oh yeah, just send it to me and I'll do a diagnostic. So I sent it to him. He ran because I think I gave him like a theory, maybe something shorted and burned a component or something. So he took a look at it. He said, hey, the DC digital's fine. He sent it back, and he even sent me a free another ribbon cable with it. So what I did was I desoldered the second ribbon cable that I had, which I shouldn't have because I think it was fine. And I installed the new one, and of course it didn't work still. But then I started messing around with the GDMU, and I noticed that it wasn't being seated in the connector properly. And I think that was the problem from the get-go. And I was so mad. I was like, oh my God, I gave myself all this headache. So that was one that I almost couldn't do. And then the other one was, funny enough, it was I don't think it was my fault, but I think it was maybe just a bad Game Boy. It had a bad diode. It was a Game Boy Color, and in one of my videos, I don't know if you remember, I did the USB mini mod from McWill, so you can basically charge your Game Boy Color using USB mini, which is kind of weird because it's not even micro or USB-C. It was a USB mini. And the diode burned out. Thankfully, I was able to order another diode in time, and I installed it. And basically, with that mod, I was basically putting that LED light indicator to tell you when things were charged or not, when the battery was fully charged. But that was another thing that I almost couldn't do. It almost got messed up. It messed up my my video, so I wouldn't have been able to release that video on Thursday. Thankfully, I was able to. But so for the most part, everything worked out. I guess, I mean, I'm not, after doing all these mods and getting kind of a lot of experience, I feel pretty comfortable doing most mods. Maybe if you guys list a mod that maybe you think I feel uncomfortable doing, let me know in the chat. But really, I think the hardest mods are like the DC digital, the PS1 digital, the upcoming N64 digital. Those are kind of like the tougher mods. and I do feel pretty confident that I can do them all at this point, I think. I mean, knock on wood. Of course, watch me get the N64 digital and not be able to do it. That would really be bad. All right, so 808, guys. So I hope I answered your question, Taylor. I know that was very, very long-winded. I apologize. But yeah, actually, let me know what you all think would be a very, very difficult mod, and I'll let you know if I think I can do it. Okay. Oh, hey, it sounds like someone is having a baby. Congrats. Techno Gatsby, it sounds like. Congratulations. All right, so this is a 1 microfarad 50 volt, and I'm replacing it with a 1 microfarad 50 volt. All right. Clean it. Okay. Oh, John D. Yeah. Or sorry, Andre. Yeah. I mean, knock on wood. It's always good to be humble. I think I can, for the most part, mods. At least for things that I'm interested in, like video game consoles. I think for the most part, I do feel confident. Now, actually, I was just pondering while I was soldering this in. Let me make sure I check this off. 808. The one thing I'm not sure I'll be able to do, it's not really a mod, it's more of a refurbish. It's the Sega Genesis PAC S10 that I'm trying to repair. It is so damaged. I'm actually going to be trying something new, and I'm basically going to be putting solder mask back on and repairing the PCB. That's something I've never done, so that might be pretty tough. I'm thinking that's going to be a really tough one, actually. 823 is the one I want to do next, because that is also a short one microfarad 50 volt. And I saw someone was talking about the Xbox HDMI mod. That one is probably pretty tough too, but I feel like it's going to be very similar to the DC digital, the PS1 digital. Right capacitor, right? Yeah. Sorry, I feel like I keep on taking this off camera. There we go. So Come on. This is pretty, the pins are pretty shallow on this one. Oops. Don't want to scratch anything. There we go. Boom. Out and out. Alright, so that is indeed a 1 microfarad, 50 volts. Alright, that one's kind of in a tight spot. There's a lot of wires there. So Alright, actually, we only got a couple more capacitors here. I feel like we kind of slowed down a little bit. Or I slowed down, rather, a little bit. But overall, what time is it? 8:35 over here on the East Coast. Yeah, actually, who's up the latest right now? Okay, make sure I put this in the right orientation. Again, this is 823. 823, short. Okay, all right. That one's good. All right. So we did 823. Whew. We're getting there. We're getting there. All right, let's do 816, which is a 1 microfarad, 50 volt. How many of those do we have? Well, just that one, it looks like. So 816. Here. All right. All right. So that was 815, right? Or sorry, that was, yeah, 816, which is a 1 microfarad, 50 volt. Yep. And then one I'm replacing it is a 1 microfarad 50 volt. Negative going up. Ooh, let me clean it first. Okay, 816. Solder that in. Looking good. Looking good. So this one was 816. Check that off the list. All right. I'm just going for the ones that I marked with red. So 897. 897 is a 47 microfarad. Let's do that one. Excuse me. Again, this one has the resistor on it, interestingly enough. $47.10 volt. Okay, so it's a 47.10 volt, and we're replacing it with a 47.35 volt, which is A-okay. All right. Half the battle is getting the real tape off. All right, let's clean it. What was it? It was 8. Where did I get that from? 897. Right there. Negative goes to the left. 897. Okay. That's good. Fantastic. Okay, 897 done. All right, 512. 512 is a 100 microfarad 10 volt, and I'm replacing it with a 100 microfarad 16 volt. So I gotta look for 116, which is right here. So I'll just leave that right there. Let's actually, let me get it ready. All right. If anybody has a anybody know a better way of kind of removing capacitors from the real tape? Because man, I am struggling with removing it. It is messy and very, very, the adhesive is very strong. But okay, we only got what appears to be, after this one, 3 more. Almost done. Okay, so I said I was removing 512, right? So 512 is all the way up here. 512. Again, has a resistor. I really hope the video board isn't like this, because that has over twice the capacitors. I think it almost leaves a very good opportunity to accidentally knock one of those off, which would be disastrous because they're so small that you could potentially lose it. Which, my God, I feel like that could potentially ruin the entire everything. All right, so this is 100 microfarad 10 volt, and I'm replacing it with 116. Perfect. Okay. All right. Let's install it. 116. Negative goes to the left side. Put it all the way down. And solder it in place. Almost done. Okay. So we got, let me mark that off as complete. So 864, which is a 10 microfarad 50 volt. We're replacing with a 1050, which is right here. So let's get that out. 864, 864. All right, no resistor on this one, thank God. That came right out. So this is a 10 microfarad 50, 1050, and I'm replacing it with a 1050. Great. Yeah, by and large, these capacitors look very, very good. Very surprising. Or maybe not really too surprising, but, you know. But good news nonetheless. Alright, so 864, 864. Put the negative to the right, negative to the right. Bend the leg slightly, and then solder it in place. Let's go ahead and make sure that's nice and even. Okay. Perfect. Okay, wow. Almost all these have been replaced. Where am I missing? So that one was 864. Oh, okay, actually that's, wait a second, are these? Hey guys, remember those capacitors that I was missing? I found them. The NP or the BP is in very, very small letters. Huh, so I am not missing them. Yeah, 10 volt. They're both 10 microfarad, 16 volt, and I'm replacing them with 10, 25, and they are both short, and these are indeed short. So good news, we're going to be able to complete this board today. I was getting a little nervous there. Oh my gosh. Got to get my eyes checked out. Huh. Well, I'm glad that sorted itself out. So, okay. Of course, the real tape is extremely annoying. And actually, I think I already desoldered both of those capacitors, so this should be just a solder in job. So one was 915. Oh, well, here's something interesting. Huh. I'm not going to solder in 915 because that one's actually not supposed to be short. And I'm going to... Oh, okay. So I'm going to solder in the other one, which is 842. Where, if I... Let me see if I can find that. Sorry, 863 is the one I want. Yep. Alright, so 863 non-polar, so I'm just going to install it in any which way. And I should be good to go. Yeah, I'm going to see if maybe I have a not short non-polar. Okay, where'd I get there? Right over here. Fantastic. Okay, so this is pretty much done. It's just missing one. The one I just soldered in was 8, I believe, but yeah, 863. So not missing. So that's good. But 915 I have. It's not supposed to be short. What I have here is short. I'm going to double check that later on. I'm going to put a note here. Check to see if... Okay, great. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to do a little bit of maintenance here. Clean. Guys, what I always recommend is when you're done soldering, clean your tip very well. and then put a little bit of solder on your iron tip. Let the fume extractor suck it up, and then turn it off, because that creates a nice layer to protect it from oxidation. And then kind of do the same with your, if you have a desoldering gun, do the same thing. I'm cleaning the ironing tip, or desoldering iron tip, adding a little bit of, just a little bit of solder to the tip, protect it from oxidation. And it prolongs the life of the tip, and then turn it off. And that'll just solidify on there and protect it. And extend the life of your tips. And the tips are expensive, so you do want to make them last as long as you can. Wind up my solder here. Clean some flux off of this. This away. Put that over there. Put that over there. All right, so here are all of the capacitors that we removed today, and they're all pretty good condition. So this is everything. We removed all that. Hey, thank you. I offer you this. I'm glad you guys like the stream. I hope y'all also, I don't know, maybe learn some tips and tricks, at least some of the tips and tricks that I use. And so here's our, okay, let me make this a little bit bigger. So that was our checklist here. All the capacitors we removed, and our freshly recapped board right here. So this is ready for years and years and decades of life. Now, what I'm going to do, and I recommend anybody do, is if you are recapping a board, hold on to these capacitors, especially if they look as good condition as these. These actually look like in fantastic condition. Like I feel like I almost didn't even need to recap this board. But I figured since everything is disassembled, and it's kind of fun, might as well, right? So I'm going to keep them in this baggie. So I have them for future reference, and also in case something goes wrong, because these aren't the exact values, they're the exact farad rating, microfarad rating, but they're different voltage, and that really shouldn't matter, but just in case. And then also I got some of the non-polar capacitors in here. I'm going to double check capacitor C915, which I have desoldered. Somewhere down here, I forget where it is exactly, but I'm gonna go and I'm gonna relook some of the other capacitors that I organized for this, and maybe I switched a short one for a long one. But yeah, great. All right, let me switch the view up a little bit and see if I can catch up on the chat here. But I saw you guys were chatting amongst yourselves, which is great. Feel free to continue to do that. I'm gonna see if I can catch up with you guys. Let's see here. I see you guys are talking about the GameCube. I'm actually planning on doing a mod video for the GameCube. Be interested to see what y'all think. The Xeno chip versus the GC loader. Not sure if you guys have a preference or anything, but I have both. I was thinking of maybe doing a comparison video to see, one's obviously much cheaper than the other, and I think they, in the end, sort of do the same thing. So, but yeah. So I don't know if you guys want to talk about anything else. It is getting late. I do have work tomorrow. It's 9 o'clock. I think this is a good place to stop. We basically did what we set out to do. And But yeah, I want to thank you all again for coming in and joining me. I will be doing several more of these because I got a couple more boards to do. I might do some off camera just because I don't want to do like 10 more streams of this, so that would just be too much. But yeah, so thank you all, and I will see you guys next Thursday. I'm going to try and do this every Thursday. So far, it's kind of working with my schedule. I'm not sure, you know, I mean, I'm releasing a video, and then I'm also doing a live stream. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. You know, maybe you guys are seeing too much of me in one day. It just works out for me the best because the day that I upload a video is also the day I kind of get to relax and I don't have to work on my next video, because pretty much starting tomorrow, I'm working on the next video pretty much as soon as I get home from work. So, but yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much, and I will hopefully see you all next Thursday. Take care and be safe.